It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, today I'm going to share an article that I found when I was doing some research on clubs. You know, ladies and gentlemen, if I look at the Document Imaging channel, we're trying to pivot into IT services, broader services, right? I mean, we're looking for things to diversify our business into. And there's a lot of venues out there that dealers can join, vendors can join. And I believe that space needs to be shaken up a little bit, obviously. But I was reading this article that was written back in 2015. And the gentleman was not a big fan of tech groups or what he called consortiums. So I have to do a disclaimer because when I show you the article, the word consortiums in this article, and he's not talking about the consortium that we know in the Document Imaging channel because it didn't exist in 2015. I don't think there was a consortium back in 2015. There was a group that was called Technology United or something back then, and they were promoting the Forza product for the most part. But he's not talking about that either. He's just talking about consortiums in general and tech groups in general. So what I want to do is I want to read this article, some parts of this article, because I think it's so relevant to our friends as they start to look for peer groups, whether you're a vendor, whether you're a dealer, you know, where are you going to go? How are you going to define yourself for the future? And so without any further ado, let me pull up the article, but I have to do that disclaimer again. He's not talking about the consortium. Ray's not doing a video on the consortium that you all know. This is a broader context of the word. So let me go ahead and pull up the article, and the article's titled Tech Partnerships and Consortiums, Why Most of Them Suck. And it was written by Rob Elderly back in August of 2015. And Rob brings up some just fantastic points. And I'm gonna bring this article up. I got my magic pen in my hand. We're gonna get on the Sharp Interactive board, and I want to underline some of these points because I think these are valid points that everybody should be paying attention to. So let's just pull this up. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read a lot of this stuff, and then of course I'll write or I'll underline it with my pen here. So let me get that going. But ladies and gentlemen, pay attention to this because I think it could help you as you're trying to align yourself with different groups. How do you tell if the partnership or consortium is worth anything? Most seem to experience their full value when the announcement is made and don't go anywhere after that. That's worth underlining. Most seem to experience their full value when the announcement is made and don't go any place after that. You know, you hear me talking a lot about nonsensical press releases. I hate nonsensical press releases, really. I mean, what does this press release even mean? And I put a quote out there not too long ago. I think I wrote a little mini article about it. But, you know, if you have repetitive nonsensical press releases, really about the same thing, is the new press release just a distraction from the non-release of the last press release? I mean, is the new press release just a distraction because there was a non-release from the last press release? And that's something I think everybody should ask themselves. And, you know, Rob he's spot on with that. The problem for you is that you may get pulled into a consortium or be sold on a partnership that has no value, leaving you with lots of wasted time and effort. Worse, you could become the company rep in the consortium, or your project may depend on the outcome of the partnership, and their failure then becomes yours, setting your career back years or even decades. You know, so you could be the one product in the consortium that everybody's trying to get into the market, you know, maybe through their own contacts or whatever you will. If that product falls on its face, then the whole thing falls on its face. Something to be careful of, right? Let's just go on. There's more stuff. I mean, this guy's really nailing some great points that everybody should be paying attention to. So there's a lot here to read, but let me just kind of go through this because there's some more fantastic points here. What is interesting about broad consortiums is that they are often designed to fail from the onset. The creation process focuses on the number of firms in the consortium, not the quality or alignment of the firms. So it focuses on the number of firms, not really the alignment of the firms and how they're going to work together. Very, very interesting. This last is particularly important because if you get a diverse group of competitors or just two strong competitors, they will typically spend their time focused on making sure their rival doesn't get the upper hand. I mean, this is really important when you think about it. I mean, if you have a consortium or a group of people, companies together, and there's competitors in there, you know, they might be in the group just to make sure that their competitor doesn't get an upper hand. But that's not going to help you move the needle or change the game. So that's something to think about, competitors inside the same group. Very interesting. Effectively, their primary goal isn't to make progress. It's to prevent their competitors who have better technology from gaining an upper advantage. There you go, folks. It's just, this guy is really on this, man. There is one upside. I've seen folks get job opportunities at other firms, rather lucrative ones, by participating and having that as the goal. But if you aren't willing to change firms or jobs, these are largely a waste of personal time. This is kind of interesting. Join the consortium so you could go out and look for a job with the other members of the consortium. You could almost see where that could probably happen. And then I'm going to say, he wraps it up down here. I'm going to just reiterate this because I think this is an important component. The more firms that are involved in the effort, the more chance there is for it to go south. Of course, you don't want to get something to go south, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I just put together this, call it raised wisdom, who knows. Don't let your insecurities and fears lead you into complacency traps. A lot of times, you're in the marketplace and you're trying to figure out a way to move forward or gain some momentum in the market. The complacency route is an easy place to fall. I call it the pasture of least resistance. Pasture of least resistance is where people hang around and graze on status quo. They graze on complacency. They slap themselves on the back and try to make them all feel good. And ladies and gentlemen, during disruptions, it's not about feeling good. It's about shaking shit up, as they say. So I just thought this article was a fantastic article. I strongly recommend you all go read it. And like I said, I'll go ahead and post it on today's video. But the title again, Tech Partners and Consortiums, Why Most of Them Suck. I think Rob Elderly kind of hit it spot on. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.